Okay, we're recording. So I got Brady Davis on in the checkered shirt, and who else?
Matt McCormick.
Okay, nice to meet you guys. And
Good to meet you too.
you guys are both involved with uh, Flying V.
Yep, we're both the owners of the company.
Okay, so in the name of true transparency, I wanted to start out by asking if you guys know who I am, or because I know you're affiliated with Meat Eater.
hmm I,
Okay.
to be honest, for me, Matt can answer him, but for me, I just knew you're Steve's brother, and that's it.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I don't honestly know a whole lot, Matt. No.
Okay. Yeah, Steve and I are used to be very close. We were hunting partners for a long time.
I remember
And
years ago seeing you on one of the shows, I
mhm,
think.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
mule deer hunt, a turkey hunt.
I don't remember.
we're estranged now. We haven't talked in years, and
Okay.
and it has everything to do basically with differences of opinion about over hunting.
Hmm.
You'll learn over the course of this conversation that I have radically different views than what you hear in the mainstream, um, and that I think that hunting media is is not good for hunters, for
Hmm.
grassroots the grassroots workaday hunting community. So yeah, I just wanted to lay that out. And then I also wanted to tell you that I've struggled. I used to have on a hunting celebrity or somebody that's kind of moving and shaking in the hunting sphere once in a while, and those conversations tended to go sideways. Um, but I've gotten better at that, and there's just no way that I'm going to let that happen. You were 30 seconds ago. You weren't even. That was the last thing on your mind. But
Well, if it makes you feel any better, we're easy to talk to. We're not looking for
okay,
anything to go sideways either, man. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
the
Yeah,
truth
it's all
is,
good.
the truth is, on the majority of things, we probably agree wholeheartedly on a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay. Um, so the way we started communicating was I put out a post saying that it was an advertisement for you guys put out an advertisement for a Can-Am side by side.
We did not.
Oh, that
Yeah, we
wasn't you.
That was a meat eater post.
Okay.
That was a meat eater article. You posted a screenshot of a meat eater article that meat eater did of our Can-Am because we put some racks that were custom designed for hauling decoys when duck hunting.
hmm
Okay.
And meat eater posted a photo of it and an article about how we set up our Can-Am for waterfowl hunting. So
I
hmm
see.
not to correct you, but that's a correction. We
No,
did not post.
that helps for sure.
Yeah.
And I cited some of the peer-reviewed scientific evidence indicating that quad runners, side by sides, ATVs
Yeah, yeah.
can be harmful for wildlife. And I said I don't think that true conservationists uh, strive to increase ATV use. And that
Totally agree with you.
so and that's what got us chatting a little bit in the comments. So that's
Yeah, and then
interesting.
I got to replying to one of the guys. I don't know who it is, but somebody was chirping us, and so
Yeah, it's
I
somebody
was
that lives close to you.
I
Yeah.
was feeling just froggy enough to chirp him back. So, and then you invited us on the podcast, so I appreciate being here, man.
Yeah. Uh,
This is like politics, like we're reaching across the aisle and having a discussion.
right, right. Uh, I guess that, except with this political system, there's it's not like nearly 50-50. There's way more people on your side of the aisle than mine.
Mhm.
Maybe. I mean, you never know, man. I mean, truthfully, the people that be on your side of the aisle, you probably just don't hear about.
Yeah, yeah. I
Like
used to
Yeah, I mean
think
they're
that
quiet, right?
they're
I used to
literally
think that
quiet.
I was speaking for the the silent majority, and that there'd be this when I started this, that there'd be this groundswell of support, but it hasn't materialized. And now I don't know if that's because I overestimated how many people share my concerns. Because what I'm concerned about is high quality, publicly accessible, non-pay hunting.
Hmm.
Of
And
course.
yeah, and that's in by my lights, that's in decline and has been for decades. And
Hmm.
I think hunting media is a major causal factor with that. But oh, so anyway,
Urban expansion, I think, would be urban sprawl would be a huge
oh,
component to that as well.
absolutely,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely
probably
agreed.
equally as much as
Yeah.
Yeah,
hunting media.
yeah. So it's interesting. It sounds like you guys are of two minds about ATVs, and you're of two minds about hunting media. But you know, indirectly you advertise ATVs, and you do make hunting media.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
So help
we
me
can split.
understand.
I would say we attack those things individually, right? On the ATV side, we have a ranch management company. We do habitat work, we do ranch management. Any ranch you've ever been on in your entire existence since UTVs came out, there's UTVs on the ranch for ranch work, right?
Yes,
That
I
is
I have no issue
99%.
with that.
That is
Hmm.
99% of what we do. I can tell you on the ranches that we manage, we have a fairly strict policy of staying on the roads. I grew up in Utah, Matt. Quick background on me. And Utah's got a ton of public hunting. I grew up public land hunting and still do to this day there. I have seen firsthand, I grew up just a little bit south of Salt Lake City in a town called Lehigh, um, kind of near the Kennecott Copper Mine. We hunt that mountain growing up, right, as kids. I grew up deer hunting, chasing lions with dogs, bobcats with dogs, having a great time on that mountain, right? I have seen firsthand what overuse of ATVs will do to the landscape. And I agree it's not great for wildlife. It also makes it look like shit.
Yeah,
And
right.
so on
And
all the
sound
ranches
like
that
shit.
yeah, on all the ranches that we work on, and you've been on ranches in Montana or any other state, doesn't matter where you're at, right? You've been on large ranches. There are road systems in them because you have to get around. You have to be able to move head gates and irrigate and farm and check livestock and do those things. So there's road systems through them. So the uh, the the assumption that we are pro ATV, off road, kind of cruising around wherever is false
Hmm.
because we're not. If you heard, the guys that work with us when they're going out to these ranches and we give them an assignment or a task to go do. Very common for Matt and I to remind them, hey, when you're in the ATV or the side by side, stay on the road.
Okay.
I mean, we
Yeah, or
don't.
come up with a good way to get into this spot. Sometimes you need to have the ATV because it carries all of your tools. And, we're not a horseback operation here as much as it would be badass if we were.
Mhm.
Um, Time doesn't allow to do everything on horseback. And so you have to do it by a motorized vehicle. Well, some of these places you got to access, right? So what's the easiest way to do it? And usually there's two track roads at the very least that can get you in and out of most of the places. And it's about the impact, what can we do? How can we get in there? How can we, yeah, not
Uh, yeah.
not kill everything when on our way in,
Yeah.
including the ATV.
And disturb the wildlife. Again, we're in the business of making things better for wildlife. Therefore, we are adamantly against just, kind of for lack of a better term, joy riding around a mountain or an area and stirring up and dicking up all the wildlife, right? I mean, that's it's a dumb thing. We see it. Again, I'm using Utah, and I'm not saying it only exists there, but I have seen it firsthand in Utah on the mountain range that I grew up and have is I hold very near and dear to my heart. I've seen the negative repercussions of ATV use
Okay.
firsthand.
Yeah, so this
Off-road.
thing that I posted was a one-off deal where Meat Eater had some pictures of your rig and they used them to. It's not like you guys are advertising side by sides on a daily basis.
No,
We are
no,
not
Yeah.
sponsored by
Yeah.
any
Okay. Yeah.
ATV
No. I.
companies or anything.
but we do use
Yeah.
We
them
use them every day though.
every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I am all about using them for in the capacity that you use them. That is perfectly doesn't give me any heartburn. What does give me heartburn is like Meat Eater, who's not just trying to promote them for ranch work. They're trying to promote them in general, you know.
Mm.
Well,
Like
I can't speak to them, but
oh,
what
it's a
I will tell
major sponsor of theirs. They don't
Yeah,
there's no
spot.
provisos when they advertise them. It's not like only for ranch work or don't take them off trail. It's just
Hmm.
they're striving to increase ATV use. And the more
I
ATV
have a
use you have, the more illegal ATV use you have. And
oh yeah.
even the legal ATV use is problematic. Back when I used to hunt with my brother, I remember one time this guy's driving a motorcycle down this trail. Um, about 100 miles south of where you guys are right now, if you're assuming you're in Bozeman. And
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
early in the morning, the elk are bugling, and he's driving his motorcycle by our camp down this trail. And my brother stopped him and chewed his ass. And this is on a legal road. So right there,
Hmm.
that my brother, up until the day he started making bank from Can-Am, didn't like and then
Hmm.
Yeah.
like Ryan Callahan, who's the head of the volunteer board for BHA. BHA used to be like backcountry hunters and anglers used to be pretty staunch anti off-road vehicle.
Hmm.
They used to have a bumper sticker that said "Use the quads God gave you," and now
Mm.
the head of their
That's actually
volun
good.
I
Good
that's a
tagline.
good saying. Yeah.
yeah, and now they're the head of their volunteer board. His stated aim is to increase ATV use. So that's all we need
Yeah.
to say about ATVs. It's like
I mean,
just
Yeah.
I think that, and this is just my opinion. Again, I think largely we're in full agreement there, right? I've seen the negative repercussions of it. I also think if there's, established areas for people to go ride UTVs and four wheelers, and going back to my personal experience, there's another mountain just to the south of the one I grew up on that it's the truth is it's terrible hunting on that one little spot, and they've got roads, and it's kind of a spot where people go ride, right?
Yeah, it's like Pipestone.
It's like
yeah,
Pipestone in Montana,
right. I'm all for that, but I
and
am
I'm all
not
for
for
that.
trying to increase ATV use.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah, well,
I
I
I
agree with
I
we
think
agree with you there.
what advertise if you the reason Can-Am pays them to advertise them is because advertise side by sides is because that increases side by side sales,
Sales. Yeah.
and then it increases side by side use. So if
Yeah, I mean,
you're
it's marketing
and I
101. I
I
get it.
don't think like a true conservationist should be trying to increase side by side use.
Hmm.
And I don't think
Right.
that they think so either. It's just that they make money by doing
Hmm.
it.
Well, and again, I can't speculate or speak for other people, but I mean, again, I'm understanding what you're saying on the use, and we agree, dude.
Yeah, yeah, yep. So yeah, okay. So then I got that you, like I said, I get that you um aren't 100% full-throated on board. Think that hunting media has no negative impacts. So yeah, tell me where you're at with that.
You start, Matt. I have some thoughts too.
Yeah, I think that social media, let's start with social media. Social media in general, I think, has changed the landscape for hunting as a whole. I think I could argue that on X has changed it, potentially even more, providing people with the understanding of where to access. They don't have to put in the effort on their own anymore. They can just go onto the app and find spots and go and check it out. And, it's changed everything. Social media, pros and cons, right? The people and community aspect of social media, I personally enjoy, and I know Brady does as well. Being able to connect with people in other areas that you might not have been able to connect with, I like that, right? Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, those are places that we have a lot in common with. And we would never meet those people if it weren't for social media. And us putting social media out, us putting hunting media out allows people to understand who we are, what our opinions are, and then connect with us. And that's a good thing. I find that to be a good thing. It's kind of like when you get together with all your buddies and you start talking and reminiscing about things, the same people, like that happens in the hunting industry as well and in the hunting world. And it's really a fun thing. Uh, but there are negatives to it, right? The negatives would be I think that there are a subset of people that do it for the wrong reasons. That's one. I mean, we could get without a platform to talk about it, we could easily get lumped into that, right? But we spent our lives hunting. We kind of ended up doing media, finding a way to hunt more. And that was, in my opinion, when I was, 23 years old and picked up a camera and started shooting photos for Sika Gear when they first launched their waterfowl line and I did help build that brand. It was a way for me to be able to spend more time in the field. If I can do it and make money doing it and spend more time in the field and tell stories about people that, deserve to have stories told about them, because I do believe that it's not all grip and grin. There are stories and journeys that people have gone through. I think that's good. But there are people out there that are doing it for the wrong reasons. What those motivations are, I mean, there's likely, 1,000 of them. But for us, we don't do it for the likes. Well, you can tell that by our page, but we don't do it for the likes. We're doing it because we love it. And it's what we do. And guess what? The shit that we're doing out on the ranch is actually really cool and really informative. A lot of people don't understand, what happens behind the gate, right, on a private ranch. They just see the ducks flying around. They don't know what's happening in there. Well, opening the door a little bit and showing them kind of the work that gets put in and the money that gets invested into the groundwork. I mean, that's really valuable, I think, and people can understand that it's not always just like must be nice.
Mm, yeah, that stuff. I think not. I don't think that showing conservation work is bad. I think that that's great, and
Hmm.
I'm not opposed to media in general or conservation media or access media. I'm opposed
Hmm.
to hunting media. So
I do believe, though,
I think it's. I mean, I could do the thing I always do, which is tell you all the reasons why I think that is. That I I I, I guess I'll just do this really briefly, and then I have a follow-up question for you. Um, I just think it's terrible for access. Um,
mm.
I think it's in so many ways. It's
Do you think
incentivized.
it's increased the pressure on the current access? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Yes. Yeah.
it's here's a few things. Um, One is it incentivizes the hunting industry to work on access for celebrities instead of their customers. Like Mark Drury, for example, controls 30,000 acres in Missouri.
Hmm.
Who paid for that? The hunting industry.
Yeah.
Lee and Tiffany lease a huge ranch south of where I live in Miles City, that used to be in block management, state program that allowed everybody to hunt. They pay
Hmm.
$100,000 a year for that. Who paid for that? Yeti coolers,
Hmm.
Matthews bows, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, so
So let me
there's
be the devil's
there's
advocate. I
there's
have an honest
one
question.
there's one. Let me just give you, okay, and then I think it's
Okay.
horrible for more than just access, but
Yeah.
just a couple more real quick ones. It even incentivizes the nonprofits to privatize access. Like Jason Matzinger, who lives there in Bozeman, he's a hunting celebrity. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation paid for his lease out here so that he could then film, make a hunting film for him. So there's another example. I think the most damage though is impossible to quantify, and that's Bob shot a bigger buck than Bill. So Bill's like, oh, I better increase the size of my lease so I can get the big one next year. I
Mm.
think that that is the reason why access used to be uh, pretty easy comparatively in the 80s, 90s. Uh, and why it's so much tighter now is because social media has turned hunting into a competition.
Yeah, dick measuring competition.
Yeah.
No, and I actually don't disagree with that. Portions of it, I think you're missing one. The hunter recruitment. What we see is more people, right, on those spots. So I think what social media is doing is getting more people out there. I don't know what the numbers are. It depends on what you believe, what you read, and who you believe, because the numbers are all over the board. I read your article about hunter recruitment and your synopsis of that. And it sounds like the information's correct. Again, it depends on who you listen to, and the graphs speak
Well,
for themselves.
I'm only aware of two sources of data on hunter numbers. One is the Fish and Wildlife Service survey that comes out every 5 years, and then hunting license sales. And according to
Mhm.
both of those sources of information, I don't know of any other sources. So to me, it's like
Yeah.
we don't have to like depend on who you believe or whatever. Those are
Sure.
the two
Yeah, those
sources of data.
Graphs. Yeah.
And according to both of those sources of data, like when I wrote that article, was that's outdated now, but there's according to both those sources of data, there's more hunters in the United States right now than there has ever been at any point in human history, except for a 10-year period from 1975 to 1985, when there were
Mhm.
more hunters then, according to both sources.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um, but that, to me, that seems fitting. Like there was way more land to hunt, and then there
Mhm.
was way less hunting leases and way less habitat fragmentation and urbanization. So to me, it's a good thing that hunter numbers have declined since then, both for the resource for the wildlife and for hunt quality, the sake of hunt quality. I'd like to see numbers decline significantly more, which is like the going back to your bet about people. See, when you said the thing about you think social media causes people to hunt for the wrong reasons, some people, I agree with that. And the only reason I care about that is because if you have more people hunting for the wrong reasons, it's diminishing the quality of the experience for people that hunt for the right reasons. So that's like, let's say the world was 10 times bigger with the same number of people. I'd be like, go hunt for whatever reason you want. I don't care. But we, though, I only think that it's important to incentivize people to hunt for the right reasons, because everyone you have out there hunting for clicks and likes and fame and money, is detracting from the experience of people that are hunting for the tried and true reasons of hide, horns, meat, and personal satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I come down on all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a quick thought on hunting media that I would like to share. And when these questions come up, Matt, I find myself I'm a little bit of an eternal optimist by nature, right? Um,
You really are.
I remember being a kid. I grew up in Utah. We did a little bit of mule deer hunting. We'd go on an elk hunt here and there. I had my hounds. I'd go coon hunt and we'd run a lion here and there. But my dad only kind of hunted, and but he was an avid fly fisherman. So growing up, I mean, we went to Idaho and Utah and Montana, and we floated rivers and we fly fished. Right, that was cool. I got cool exposure to that. I got to see wild places, and I got to spend a lot of time with my dad. I think back to the hunting TV shows that I used to watch, right? This is before DVR or any of this, right? Like you'd get up on Saturday morning and I'd watch like Bill Dance Outdoors, right? I'd never even seen a fucking largemouth bass in my life,
Oh,
right? And,
they don't
and
have
so
they don't have largemouth in Utah.
I'm not where I was, no.
Oh,
And so my point is that's one example, but for me as a kid, it was really cool to be able to see what the world offered. And it was motivating and inspirational for me to want to go and experience these things, right? Go and experience new places, right? Um, Watching guys, shoot ducks in the timber in the South. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'd never seen a piece of flooded timber in my entire life. Never seen white oak trees that with 4 feet of water in them and ducks pouring in the trees. I'd never seen, you know, somebody go catch a tarpon or somebody do anything else. And so I do think that we would be arrogant and it would be erroneous for us to assume that it's all bad. I agree with literally most of what you're saying in sense, right? However, I do think that there is some good that comes from it. And I'm not saying, just for kids, right? But I'm using my own personal experience that when I was a kid, it was the thing that I look forward to the most on the weekends was either going hunting or fishing or being able to watch these cool shows that I was just learning. I was soaking it all in. I was a bit of a sponge. I wanted to see these places. I wanted to see these animals and these fish and you know, again, the only thing we had was magazines, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
before the internet. But we can all agree that the internet, there's been a lot of good and a lot of bad that has come from it,
Mm-hmm.
not just in hunting, right? In
yo, yeah.
every single industry on this planet has bad on social media and good on social media. But I when we say hunting media, my opinion is I agree wholeheartedly with you that there's some negative for sure. And in your case, you believe it's wildly negative. I believe there's definitely negative. So we can agree on that point.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I would be lying if I agreed entirely with you because it it played a role in my life and when I look back on it, Matt, it was a very positive thing for me. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I mean, my guess is you watched hunting shows when you were a kid and you probably liked watching them.
Very, very, very few. And
Right.
I was never really captivated by hunting media. But I
Well,
mean, there's just a lot of things that are enjoyable that aren't good for you, like drinking beer and smoking cigs. Like it's just,
how's the Modelo?
oh, very good, thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to cut back. So for a while I quit and I thought I was done, but I'm back in. But I
Matt,
stop
Matt and I
off.
committed to do dry 2025, so we're doing the NAs
Yeah.
for this whole year.
Oh,
So
I
we're both
stop off on my way home from work. I don't allow myself to keep booze in the house because then it would be gone. And I buy one tall boy nightly.
there you go.
So
You're like all the guys that work in Big Sky, you got to have one tall boy for the drive.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, I just don't think that neoconservatism has worked out very well in the hunting space. Like, what's good for the market has turned out to, in my view, not been good for um the hunters. Like
Yeah, the
the
experience.
it's just it's just like the people that make money off hunting um by making content, they wouldn't do it if they wouldn't do it if they weren't getting paid. So of course they're going to argue that it's good, but
Well, would you do what you, I don't know what you do for a living, but you wouldn't do it if you weren't getting paid either.
Well, I would argue, I mean, I would hunt and take pictures of my pals and everything if I wasn't getting paid.
Of
I
course.
mean,
no, what
years
I'm
and years
saying,
ago we started
okay,
this.
I wouldn't do what I'm doing if I wasn't getting paid because I can't afford to not have a job. But I would if, let's say, I thought what I did was not beneficial to society, I would go find another job.
Hmm.
Um, it, it just okay. It just in my mind, it cannot be argued that for people that don't enjoy hunting entertainment, and don't make money off hunting, hunting media has been nothing but bad for them. And so the reason I do what I do is I'm looking out for the subset of people that value hunting itself more than hunting media. Sometimes I
Hmm.
wonder, like, well, maybe hunting media brings more joy to society than hunting itself,
I think
in
that
which case I should just shut
Never
up.
considered that.
I think that plays a role. I mean, you think about the people that reach out to us. There's a lot of people that wish they could go hunting but can't, right? They're a school teacher or whatever, so they love to watch the media because they can vicariously live through you. Is that good or bad? Don't know, but that is their motivation. So they find a lot of joy in consuming the media because they can't do it themselves, although they would love to, but their, life decisions and path just doesn't allow it. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's what if we were trying to, you know, like I'm always trying what I think hunting should be is it should be what we should be trying to optimize is the greatest good for the greatest number, you know? We should be like try to have it be, and I'm not focused on trying to pass laws or change laws. I'm just trying to have a concert conversation about what the greatest good for the greatest number. And like I say, I am open to the idea that hunting media brings people more joy than hunting itself, you know. But
Some people. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a broad stroke,
Yeah.
but
Oh, when I say that, I meant if you could just sum up all the joy that hunting brought people, and put it in two piles. The
Mhm.
joy of
Mhm.
doing it and the joy of watching it. Maybe the watching it pile is bigger, you
Maybe.
know?
Hell, it's hard to do, and you got to really want it to go do it at, you know,
Yeah.
level
Eh,
to achieve semi-consistent success.
Yeah. I just felt like somebody should probably talk about the fact that it's having a severe negative impact on some people. Like if
Well,
you
you're
plot,
definitely talking about it.
yeah. So like if you, for example, if you plot Google Trends hits for the some top hunting shows like Meat Eater, Fresh Tracks, Hushin, etc. Like Google searches for those shows going back to 2014 to present, and draw odds in Western states for big game species.
I
Those
bet it's like
two
this.
lines are perfectly in sync, you know?
Hmm.
So these people that hunt for fame and money with a cameraman behind them, which to me, I just don't think that's hunting. That does not qualify as hunting if you got a cameraman with you. They've made it so people that were at the same time out there, but were out there for hide horns, meat, and personal satisfaction, get to experience that and enjoy that far less, you know. So that bums me out. But I have grown a little bit suspicious that maybe hunting media is of more value to society than hunting, you know. Why else have I had so little success getting people
Yeah.
on board with what I do, you know? Like I've been
Yeah.
podcasting for 3 years and Instagramming for 2 years or 3 years, something like that. And yeah, it's not taking off. You guys are not building your brand by talking to me.
Hey, listen, man, like I said in the beginning, we're an open book. You know,
Mhm.
we've said forever, and it's kind of I have no idea who the fella is that was chirping me on your post, right? And again, I
I
don't take
don't
shit.
either. I don't
Right.
either, other than I did a little DMing with him and learned that he's a neighbor of yours. I can tell you a few things about him.
Mhm.
That's been there a long time and is very sad that hunting has gone to shit there.
Hmm.
I mean, and it has. I used to live in Bozeman. I got my PhD there at Montana State. I moved there in '97 and moved to where I live now in 2004. Man, back then you could drive outside of town and fill your deer tag and come back that day. I can't imagine what that'd be like now. It'd be probably physically dangerous.
I think that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, I think we can all agree that, you know, back in the days, the 60s, the 50s, 70s, 80s, like there's no doubt that access was better. But I'm going to go back to the guy that was chirping me, right? The truth is, Matt, I'm 100% convinced, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I'm 100% convinced that if that fella came by our shop here in Belgrade and we just sat down and had a beer and shot the shit, I would bet you money that within 30 minutes we would realize we've got a lot in common and we're actually not the enemy. You know,
Uh,
some of his statements about, you know, you guys bitch about there being too many elk on the ranch. That's not true. What we've said is the elk do a lot of crop predation. There's no
okay,
denying
well,
that, right?
let's back up a little bit and say, because we haven't established that you guys own a ranch outside of Bozeman.
We don't.
Oh,
We
you
We
don't
don't.
don't.
own a
Okay.
ranch.
So
We have a
even I don't
we
know
have
the.
a ranch management business. So we
Okay.
do, and so I'll back up. Our primary focus when landowners call us is to look at it through a lens of waterfowl hunting. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, there's you know two things that a bird needs, and that is food. Well, three: food, water, and safety. Well,
And gravel.
the same. Well, waterfowl I'm speaking about
Yeah.
specifically.
They need gravel.
They need a little bit, but I'm saying that
Oh, come on.
when you do,
Don't underestimate the importance of gravel. Could a duck
I'm
Yeah.
I'm
live without
I'm,
gravel?
I'm
They
not.
got gravel.
I know I'm not underestimating it, but I'm saying
I just want to show
you
you
understand.
that
There's
I
more
know.
shit than they need than just that too. But I'm speaking in simplistic terms here, Matt. You
I'm
know that.
just I'm just
There's three
joking.
things they need: food, water, and safety.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
when you are doing projects that benefit the ducks, naturally it also benefits the ungulates, the deer, the elk, the you know, if there's antelope, if there's whatever. I mean, wildlife need food, water, and refuge, safety, right? So his his statements about what we have apparently said are categorically false, and that's what I said. Like,
Okay, pretend that I have no background information. Just lay this out for the listener. Lay it out for my mom and my three other listeners.
oh,
He
what was said?
said what he said,
Oh,
and
he said, you know, basically the general tone was, you guys are a bunch of idiots and you're ruining hunting. And, you know, there's always been elk on that ranch. And now
this is a
you're
ranch
crying.
that you manage.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. And
okay.
you're now
So he's
crying
not a
about the,
neighbor of you. He's a neighbor of the rancher that you are employed by.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
saw my
the management.
W-2s,
Yeah.
bro, I'm not able to buy a ranch like that.
Okay.
Um, but
It's 8,000 acres in the Gallatin Valley.
yeah, I
You
mean
Okay.
you know what
on the
Oh,
Gallatin River.
that's
It's just
yeah,
west of
that's
Manhattan.
like we're
It's an
talking
awesome spot.
Mar-a-Lago type prices.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's killer spot. But I've never once bitched about the number of elk on there. I've simply made the statement that the elk consume a lot of crops. Okay. Now, that's okay, right? The cool thing is the owner loves the elk there. I mean, he loves it. It's cool. They're fun to see. I mean, it's badass when you look at a bunch of elk, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Um, those elk are also migratory. If you saw our herd in the summer versus our herd in the winter, they're vastly different numbers, right? But we do projects, and again, our day-to-day focus is on waterfowl. So, when we're out doing waterfowl projects, those same projects benefit all the wildlife. So it's crazy to me that somebody would assume that we are ruining hunting. So let me say one thing. First of all, backing up, that ranch has always been private. It wasn't like it was public land that was sold and now it's, this locked up little treasure. It was always private. Hell, Matt and I used to drive by and glass it and watch all the ducks and geese in there long before the current owner owns it and salivate over the idea of hunting it. And the previous owners never allowed any bird hunting.
Hmm.
So it was off limits to us for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Now, the assumptions that get made, and this is what's interesting about social media for me, Matt, is that, I saw this meme the other day, and it was two dogs, and there was a fence in between them, like a rolling gate. You've seen those gates like on the side of a house that roll open, right?
Yep.
And these two dogs are at the fence and they're barking at each other, just right in each other's face. And then somebody slides the gate open and they both kind of sit there and they instantly stop barking.
Oh yeah.
And
There's a
then
lot of that.
when he slides the gate back closed,
Yes.
and so my point in this, it's a great analogy because again, I'm 100% confident that and I'm not trying to, win whoever that fella, I'm not trying to win his heart and mind. I'm not being political, but if he came and sat down with us and we had a beer and shot the shit, I think he would understand what we do and why we do it. And I think he would agree that what we were doing is for the betterment of all the wildlife
Hmm.
at a large scale.
Yeah.
Large scale.
Yeah.
I mean,
I bet he would, but I bet he'd continue to not like the fact that you're hunting promoters.
Yeah.
well,
And
that's okay. That's okay because I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. So is he. So am I. So is Matt. Right? That's
Hmm.
fine. However, he the assumptions made are always so fascinating to me on social media because people get a lot of courage when it's over a keyboard, especially that guy when it's a anonymous name. And I'm not picking on him. Like the truth
no, I
is,
get that, and you're
it's America,
absolutely
man.
right.
I don't
You're
I don't
absolutely
give a
right.
shit if he wants to have whatever handle or username that he wants to have, and
No, I
mine is
hate
my name.
that shit because I get lumped in with them. I got people calling me a troll and stuff because I hammer on hunting celebrities. But I'm only doing it because it's bad for hunting. Um, and
I have a
and
question
and
for you.
I, if the gates opened, I would kick some ass. It's like I put my people accuse me of putting being a troll. I'll say like trolls are anonymous, and then I'll type right in the comments my address and my phone number. Because I'm right here, man. I'm willing to whatever. I'm the
Sure.
Hmm.
I'm not when I talk shit and post shit about hunting celebrities, it's because I think they're bad for hunting. Not,
Well, what I'll tell you is you're the minority that's willing to tell people who you are.
right.
Because
Sure.
you and I both know if people really want to talk shit online and they're truly being, shit trolls, dude, it's like majority an anonymous name, right?
Yeah.
And again, I just think it's really interesting because at the end of the day, you know, I'll go back to Utah and growing up, and I was an avid houndsman, right? I got into coon hunting and lion hunting and bobcat hunting. I just really love the dog side of it. It's part of why I love waterfowl hunting. I love the dog work.
Hmm.
Growing up, we had cattle dogs and hunting dogs when I was a kid in elementary school, I used to race a sled dog team. I love working dogs. Working dogs to me are cool as hell, any kind, right? And, houndsmen have been under attack from, anti-hunters for a long time in a lot of states. And, the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, I mean, the hound hunting laws are terrible, right? I lived in Colorado for 8 years, and, you can't run a bear with a dog in Colorado. It's in their state constitution. You can't bear hunt, right? So houndsmen have their passion has been under attack. And I used to say all the time, because I'd go to these RAC meetings, that the Utah Division of Wildlife would have, and houndsmen would come, and it's kind of a spot for people to voice their concerns and talk about the issues, etc. I'll be goddamned if the houndsman's worst enemies weren't the damn houndsmen.
Oh,
They just they
oh,
just tear each other apart. And I'm like, man, if I was the anti-hunter, all I would do is put all you dipshits in a room and just walk away. Because before you knew it,
oh,
they're one
oh, I didn't know that they
hunting.
were at each other's throat. I thought you meant just
They
because
just they could it just felt like the houndsman in a lot of ways. And I love houndsmen, right? It's my greatest memories in life were chasing my dogs through the hills and wanting to throw up. I was hiking so damn far because they kept going ridge over ridge over ridge, right?
yeah,
And I just think that, and again, I'm not against your opinion. I'm not even against what you do. But I think that hunters, and in this example, houndsmen, our worst enemies are often each other,
oh.
right?
So what do they fight about?
Oh God, everything, man. Like, well, what should we hunt here? What quotas should we put here? Should this be a harvest objective unit? Should this be this? And they're just constantly bickering, while at the same time, the anti-hunting organizations were just slowly picking away houndsmen rights across the West.
Yeah,
They were just slowly stripping them of their ability to run their dogs in the hills. While at the same time, these guys are just banging heads with each other. And it's out here on the side, these dudes are just sniping off one right, one hunting right, one ability to go do this in this state, one ability to go do this. And so,
yeah.
you know,
That yeah, a little
again, I don't,
unity would
I'm
a
not
little
here to talk
unity would
about.
help them a lot, and a
Mhm.
little less putting out videos of shooting cats out of trees and bobcats like freaking cornered against the wall of a cliff with 8 dogs like tearing at it. Like,
Dude, this was before there was even social media or hunting out, right? Like this was before any of that. And
oh,
guys,
I know, but it's
my
I
point
mean,
is,
these anti-hunting groups use that kind of footage. Like,
of course they
it's
do.
part of
They
me
also
is
use
there's part of me
pictures of
thinks if
you
you're so
holding a deer
freaking
head.
stupid that you're gonna post a video of a distressed wild feline on social media with your dogs barking at it as you shoot it out of a tree, you get what you get in terms of your perception among the non-hunting public. You guys are aware of
The
like
same could
these?
be said, though, real quick. The same could be said of you having a picture of you holding a nice buck that you killed and smiling while the buck's
I don't. I oppose
dead as fuck.
that. I
Have you
oppose
ever
that.
done it?
I have done lots of stuff that I regret. I mean, if you go back far
Right.
enough in my history, you'll see that I used to shit my pants. But you know, people grow up and they change.
Well, sometimes it still
I've
happens.
been on
Let's
my
give ourselves a
brother's
little credit.
I've been on my brother's show.
I
Something
know.
I deeply regret. You know, so yeah, I don't. But like with the predator hunting stuff, what makes it extra bad is that we already know from the NSSF surveys that come out every 2 years that whereas a large majority of people are supportive of hunting for meat, they are not supportive of bear hunting. They are not supportive of cougar hunting. They're not supportive of trapping. So why in the world would you push it up in their face?
Yeah, we've talked about
I
that.
don't think
Listen,
any of it should be on social media. I don't think
I
any dying or dead animals should be anywhere. A goose, a duck, a deer, an elk, a cat should be on
yeah,
YouTube. Shouldn't be on the Sportsman channel. I just
right. I understand you're
I
very far
oppose
to the one
using dead
side. I
and
get it.
dying wildlife as a source of entertainment. I think it cheapens it, and I think it's bad for our reputation.
Hmm.
And that's, again, I think that's your opinion, and you're definitely entitled to it, brother.
Yeah.
Like it's
So,
all
but anyway, we're just talking about the houndsman thing. I was like,
my point is it kind of dove off the tracks there. My point
yeah,
is that as a young man, I watched these adults, again, I was a teenager, right? And I'm watching these grown ass adults argue internally while
uh-huh.
they were systematically being plucked at from the outside, and they
Yeah,
were
that's
so
crazy.
angry with each other they couldn't turn their goddamn head and look at what the real problem was.
Yeah,
It's not Matt with his dog box trying to run a bear in the same mountain range I am. It was, listen, we can argue about that all you want. Guess what? These guys are actually going to take that whole mountain range and make it illegal to even run a bear there.
yeah.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if Matt or I have which truck and we got which dogs in the dog box and we're trying to go enjoy a good bear run. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
right,
And
right.
so I think that with,
Unless here's one thing where it could still matter. It could matter if you broke the law, which is what I would
well, of
do.
course,
If they outlawed hunting, I'll just keep hunting, you know.
right. Yeah. I mean, I agree, right? There, you got to be, yeah. I mean,
Hell,
but
maybe
you
my hunting
understand.
would improve. Maybe there'd be a bunch of law, maybe there's a bunch of law-abiding hunters out there that would just sell their guns and buy golf clubs, you know?
Guarantee there would be if they outlawed it,
There
like
would be.
stroke of the pen. Guarantee there would
Oh
be.
yeah.
You know that. I mean, there's
Yeah.
not millions of outlaws out there, right? But you understand my point.
Oh, I do. I do. I do. And one thing I get a lot of is hunters need to stand together. We shouldn't be divided. You're dividing the hunting community. It's like there's a large percentage of the hunting community that I do not want anything to do with, you
Well,
know.
I think any hunter could say that, right?
Hmm.
There's a large percentage of the hunting community I don't want anything to do
You're
with, and
right,
that's
but
not
it's
you.
it's a
I'm
it's a
saying,
trope. It's a trope that
yeah,
one hears.
right.
No, I love you guys. You guys are fun to talk to. I can tell we get along great. I think you should
Are you
come
going
out.
to the Miles City Buck and Horse sale this weekend?
I'm not. I'm going out where I'm
That's
hunting.
a travesty.
Once
It's the
you
biggest
live
event
here a
in your
long
town.
time, you stop going. And it's not. I still enjoy it. I'll go every 3 or 4 years, and I still enjoy it. But it's like, man, I've had an event after an event after an event that's been preventing me from doing my hunting chores. Where I'm hunting, it's super dry, so I got to go in there while it's wet and store some water by filling jugs out of ponds. So I'm taking my llamas for a few days and going to fill water jugs.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great.
yeah.
I say that kiddingly. Growing up, I was really involved in rodeo and I rode bucking horses, right? I did high school rodeo, college rodeo, professional
Oh,
rodeo. And some of my most fond memories were going to the Miles City Buck and Horse Sale when I was, in my, teenage and college years. It was a
yeah,
riot of a time.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
we're my son and his friend and a couple of guys we work with were headed out this weekend. Matt and I have been out there a number of times. It's just fun event. I love Miles City. I think Miles City's great.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't want
So
to promote. I don't want to promote Miles City, but
not that had anything to do
you're
with
right.
hunting, but I was just curious if you were going to
No, it
the
doesn't.
Bucking
I'll
Show
talk
because it's
about
the
what it.
it's the Cowboy Mardi Gras, man. Biggest week in your big town.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. And Miles City in general is an amazing place. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be saying that,
We
but
love
it
it.
is.
It's too bad
Um,
that the Buck and Horse Saloon got shut down.
Gah,
yeah.
Now it's Uncle Mike's or whatever.
it's a barbecue joint.
Hmm.
That was a fun bar.
That was a fun bar.
Yeah.
You always run into hunters in there.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you guys are still um young and still probably partying and stuff, but I'm in my 50s now, so I don't,
Bro, I'm in
and
my
I'm
mid
married and
40s.
shit, so.
Yeah,
I've
so are
been
we.
married for 23 years,
Oh,
dude.
geez.
Yeah,
I've only been
Yeah.
married for 10.
I got two young boys, and yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're not 20-year-olds. I promise you that.
but we will still party somewhere.
We'll
I mean,
we'll cut loose from time to time. Once we get done with this year and we get off the NAs, then we
There you
can have a
go.
good time again.
There you go. So
We'll
you
call
guys
it.
do a lot. I'm going to make a pitch. I'm going to make a pitch. See what I can do here. You guys do a fair bit of hunting promotion. You got several events coming up, like come and learn how to call a duck and all this, right?
It's a duck and goose calling
Yeah.
contest we're
Yeah.
holding at
Hunting
the
promotion.
fairground. Yeah.
And you make hunting videos. You're trying to get people to hunt. But I think that, whereas I wish you wouldn't, and nobody would, if somebody is going to be a hunting promoter, then in my view, they should be working on making sure people have places to go hunt.
Mm.
Yeah.
And here I am. I'm not a hunting promoter, and I'm a co-founder of a nonprofit focused on trying to make it so people have places to go hunt. So in my mind, I'm doing your job. And I think you guys should help me if you
That's a
can.
bold statement, but go on.
Don't you think it's like
I mean, come
we
on,
want
bro.
more
Do
hunters, and
that.
all
You're
we do
not
is
doing
what
our job. I mean,
Yeah.
we are actively
you
involved
get
in
what you
conservation.
get what I'm
I mean,
saying.
yeah, I hear
From
you.
my,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
there's a little
it's a broad
there's a
stroke
little
with a
tongue
brush.
in
I'll give you
cheek.
that.
There's a little
It's a
tongue
broad
in cheek.
stroke.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
yeah.
I'm joking.
I know.
What I'm trying to sell you on is that people that promote hunting, it seems as though they should also be promoting access in a meaningful way. And what
Mhm.
my nonprofit does is we show appreciation to landowners that are enrolled in state programs that allow public hunting access. We do that by giving
Mhm.
appreciation gifts and by doing work projects.
Cool.
So,
I like that.
Mhm.
yeah, so we go, in Montana, there's 7 hunting districts, and all
Yep.
7 of them have 1 or 2 block management appreciation dinners. And we have a
Mhm.
presence at several of those where we give out tons of gifts that we raise
That's really
money.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we give
I
out
like that.
calf shelters, pneumatic post pounders, um,
Mm.
gift certificates to ranch and home stores, etc., feed, etc.,
Yeah,
etc.
that's really cool. Actually,
That
that's a
is
really
that's
cool
I
idea,
like that.
and a great way to do it with those
Um,
guys at those dinners. Anyway.
and then we do 6 or 8 work projects every year.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to make you aware of that in case it was something that you felt compelled to get involved with. One thing you could do is promote our. We have a fundraiser in Helena on the 31st that I'm hoping is well attended. So if you felt compelled to,
This month.
What's it called?
of May, Hunters for Access is our, and you can check us
Okay.
out at huntersforaccess.org.
Mhm.
Um, but we're also,
How would you like
so
us to promote it? Share it on our channels on social
yeah, if you
media.
could, yeah, I could
Yeah.
send you my
One
flyer.
of the positives of social media, Matt.
Oh, I'm all for using social media to promote access and
Right.
conservation. I'm just
Yeah.
not,
No, we'll
I'm
share it.
not, I'm, yeah, I'm just not down with the dead and dying animals.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, and then, um, if you ever wanted to contribute in some other way, like you guys sponsor some companies, right? Or sponsored by some brands,
Mhm. Yeah.
if
Yeah,
you
we
ever
work with
wanted
some
to.
brands. Yeah.
So there's 2 things we do. One is to raise money. One is, well, okay, a lot of our donations go directly to ag producers. So
Okay.
we get donations from stores here in Miles City, and we take those, like, certain things we get, like feed or calf shelters or whatever. We have a deal with this guy that makes calf shelters where we buy one and he gives us one. So that we take
That's
those
cool.
donations and give them directly to the ranchers or farmers. But then the other thing is we take guns and hunting equipment and do auctions and take the proceeds and buy the gifts, the appreciation gifts.
Mhm.
So that's another way to be
I think that's
involved.
really cool.
If you could
Kudos,
elicit,
kudos for that. I think
yeah,
that's cool. I mean,
yeah,
we've
yeah,
spent
yeah.
we've spent a lot of days out hunting on
BMA.
BMAs, man.
Oh,
We're huge fans of them.
okay, okay. So now you're aware. No pressure. I know you're busy, but
Mm.
if you wanted to, in any way, shape, or form, be involved, uh, keep it in mind. Because to
What's the
me,
website
it's
again? Huntersforaccess.org. Yeah. Right.
huntersforaccess.org. Yeah. Because the
Yeah.
block management program is shrinking.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have chapters in Kansas to support the WEHA program.
Yep.
There's 1.2 million acres in that program. We have a
Mm-hmm.
chapter in Minnesota and one in North Dakota. Uh,
That's
there's a
cool.
lot of states have these little access programs. They get some
Sure.
funding from the Farm Bill. There's a
Yeah.
Farm Bill program called VPA HIP, Voluntary
Mm-hmm.
Public Access Habitat Improvement Program. So that's what we're trying to do is we're combating two things: hunting promotion, which has jacked up the price of hunting land, and poor hunting behavior. Those are the two things that cause,
Mm.
in my, as near as I can tell, cause farmers and ranchers to leave these programs. Plus, these legacy ranches and farms get bought by out-of-staters, and they don't allow public hunting a lot of time. So we're
Hmm.
just trying the best we can to make it so that everybody has places to hunt. You know, I don't know. It's weird.
That's
Like
great.
you guys have been hunting your whole life. Me too. So you know how that is. Something happens where you just get concerned about the future of it. Like you want other people to be able to do it. Like hunting's been good to you. Hunting's been good to you
Mm-hmm.
guys. It's been good to me.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to perpetuate it for other people. I don't know where that comes from, but I don't even really hunt block management that much. I have pack llamas and I hunt way back in the sticks most of the time. But I do, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I do hunt some block management now and again.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
For
I
waterfowl hunting, block management's really good. I mean,
yeah.
ag ground, right?
Yeah.
Ag
We're
ground, river
yeah, yeah.
frontage. I mean, there's basically no access to any river frontage unless it's block management for the most part,
Oh,
right? In the state. And that's where the birds live. So
right. Yep. Oh,
BMA is
basically
absolutely.
every state
Door
now.
banging or block management. That's it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. The nice thing is our experience, because we still do quite a bit of door banging.
Yeah.
Door
Uh-huh.
banging works. And when you're respectful, I grew up, my family raised cattle, and Matt and I have spent a lot of time around ranching and ranching operations, and you show up and you're not being a dick, or you're not trying to, over abuse the resource, and you're respectful to the landowner. I think door banging still is very, very, very effective across
Hmm.
the West in general.
It helps to be
Um,
charming, that's for sure.
well, and good looking.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And to be
Beefcakes
and to
like
be
you. I mean, if the old man comes to the door, you're screwed. But if you get the old lady, you're in.
that's why you go
Right?
middle of the day.
That's why, yeah, you go in the day when he's out feeding.
Yeah.
That's
That's funny.
awesome.
I'll tell you a quick story about Brady getting access one time. We had this spot somewhere close to you kind of, and it was the only field that had birds in it, and there's block management all around it, and we could probably hunt that, but this was the spot, and it was the only private field in this little area. And it's like, gosh, why are they all here? Well, it's because they don't provide any access, right? And Brady just says, well, just go try because, if you don't try, it's always a no. So we track them down and we get there, and the husband's not home, but the wife is there, and usually, if it's middle of the day, just Brady will go to the door, right? Because if a woman's going to answer the door, I don't want two men standing at the door asking for permission. One
Hmm.
man's enough.
Right.
And
That makes sense.
so I'm sitting in the truck, and I see her open the door, and it's all really friendly and nice, and she's got an apron on, and all of a sudden I see him go inside. Well, I'm sitting in the truck for over an hour by
Oh,
myself.
geez. You're
And
like,
I'm
is
just
he in
like,
there
okay,
pouring the
well,
coals to her, or what's
I don't
going
know what
on
he's
here?
doing. Yeah, whatever it takes, right? This is the spot. This is the so figure it out. And he comes out and he comes high stepping out of there, and he's got a dust trail behind him. He's moving so fast. He's got a smile on his face, and he didn't get a yes, but he got a let me talk to my husband and we'll get and we'll get back to you. And that turns out he's in there helping her bake pies because she needed an extra hand. And at the moment, if you're going to interrupt her, you might as well help, right? She needs an extra hand.
I became a culinary expert in an hour. I learned how to make an apple pie from start to finish. And I'd never done that in my life.
Oh man,
So,
fruit pies are no joking matter. If you can pick
yeah.
up how to make a good fruit pie, then it's time well spent.
Well,
Yeah.
the moral of the story, so the husband came back, she talked to the husband, I talked to the husband, we did get a yes. And it
Oh,
and it was just Matt and I,
It was
nobody else with us. And it
Yeah.
was arguably one of the most special days of goose hunting we've ever had in
that
our
we've ever
entire
had.
lives.
Yeah.
Like it
yeah.
was absolutely insane.
Oh,
And
when you get where they want to be, holy crap, look out.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Well, this was
Yeah.
that. But it just goes to show that being friendly, charming, being in state, that obviously helps being a resident of the state when you're talking to these people. But door knocking still works. You can't be an asshole.
Same thing my dad taught me when I was a kid. A little bit of gratitude and respect goes a long damn way in life. And,
Absolutely.
and we believe
Absolutely.
that firmly. So,
That's
you know,
what Hunters for Access tries to do.
hmm
We have become minor celebrities when we step up into these block management appreciation dinners.
hmm
We had a guy this year over in Glendive, a rancher, get up in front. No, this was in Miles City. He gets up in front of 100 of his colleagues and gives a little speech about the work we had done. We helped him build some corrals
Mm-hmm.
and about how much he appreciated it, man. A little appreciation goes a long way, you know? Because
Yeah,
if somebody
bro.
shows a little appreciation, then it's like, okay, these people are not going to leave trash on my place. They
Right.
obviously value what I'm providing for them. And
Yeah, and we agree. And I mean, we've spent a lot of time going to brandings and building fence and doing controlled burns with farmers and ranchers
Yep.
and you know, having grown up in that side in the cattle side as well and basically been a child slave in that world, you realize there's a lot of damn work to do on these farms and ranches. And the truth is in rural, you know, Montana, Idaho, name your state, rural state, there's a family ranch, family farm. They have more to do than there are hours in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Farmers and ranchers are the hardest working people I've ever met in my entire life. And so I agree with you, showing some appreciation and go help them. Like, I have never had a rancher, especially when he knows that we're capable and competent of helping. We're not going to come screw things up. When he knows, like, hey, these guys know cattle, they can actually come and help at a branding. Um, Matt's one of the best calf wrestlers I've ever seen, and I can rope. So if we're doing it on horseback, I'll go get on a horse and I'm roping calves all day long.
mhm.
Or we're running squeeze shoots, or we're heating up branding irons, or we're ear tagging, or we're checking DNA. All these things, man. I mean, again, we're saying the same thing, but I think that I think there's a lot of positives in hunting, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them, and I think what you're doing is one of those positives. I think
Well,
what we
thank you.
do is one of those positives.
Other than
I
the
mean,
media bit, I agree.
we do a ton of conservation work,
Mm-hmm.
and in the waterfowl world, if and we're fans of Ducks Unlimited and Delta Waterfowl and all these. We're members of them. We support them. We do the thing. I mean, this calling contest we're going to have in June, and we're doing it in partnership with Ducks Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to stroke a check right now, Matt, to any conservation agency, right, organization, Ducks Unlimited, Delta, and you stroked $100,000 check, and I'm making that number up, $100,000 that doesn't go directly towards conservation. And I
No,
understand
like over half of it's probably going to go to R3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
it's going to all the other things. When we do ranch management and we say, okay, we're going to spend $100,000 in waterfowl habitat, $100,000 goes into waterfowl habitat. This
No, and
one
that's
ranch,
and that's all good. Like I can't. It's great. It just I can't help but think. Well, yeah, it's going towards habitat that nobody's ever gonna get to enjoy except some
so let me
rich dude.
counter you there. Let me stop you there. So this ranch in particular, and most of the good hunting in Montana is on river systems. We have miles of the Gallatin River that run directly through the ranch. As you know, all water in this state is public. Guys can hunt the river. We have a ton of guys who hunt the river. And in the last few years, since Matt and I took over the management of that ranch, we have had countless Instagram messages of locals here in Bozeman messaging us and thanking us for the work we're doing on the ranch
Oh, that's
because
great.
it has
That's
made the
great.
duck hunting
So those guys will
absolute
set up on gravel bars and stuff
hell yeah.
where it
Yeah.
flows through the. Okay.
And
Hell yeah.
bang them up.
And it's awesome, man. Listen, 10 years ago, when my wife and I decided to move to Montana, one of the largest motivating factors for us to move here was because of the public access laws. Because
Hmm.
water's public, we love to fly, fish, and hunt, but there's great public access laws. You can duck hunt the river. So, you know, when I first moved here, and Matt moved here about the same time, and we hadn't done as much of the scouting and networking and getting to know the farmers and ranchers as we've done, a decade later. We spent a ton of time hunting the river. Hell, my son killed his first duck at, 10 years old on the Gallatin River. And Matt and I rode our asses all the way down this thing in a snowstorm one night in our drift boat and set up some decoys on the Gallatin. There's private land on both sides. Set up some decoys on the Gallatin, and he shot a duck. And he still talks about that. It was a pivotal moment in his life. So,
Just
Yeah.
down from the range,
yeah, just
actually.
down from this ranch. So the public access, you know, you're singing to the choir. Just because we do ranch management on private ranches doesn't mean we're, again, I think people always assume it's like the public guys and the private guys. That's not true.
Mm-mm.
And you would be amiss to say that, you know, the amount of conservation in North America for all wildlife that happens on private land is ins incalculable, the benefit that it provides to the
Oh,
wildlife.
absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you can't quantify that. And so,
I don't
you,
mean to, yeah, I am so on board with conservation work
yeah.
on private lands and what you guys do with your business. That is
So if the fella that was
fantastic.
if the fella that was chirping me on your post wants to know, we have no problem with the elk. By the way, we knew there were elk there for years. We used to sit and park and glass and look and fantasize about having
So
access to
also,
go hunt.
where did he hear you say they sure do eat a lot of crops?
Well, I mean, we've told
I
people
don't.
that when people are like, "Man, you guys got a lot of elk on the place." You
Well,
know,
we also donate cow hunts. To different organizations.
we just did
Even
one for the youth baseball team
yeah, for the
in
Manhattan
Oh,
Manhattan.
okay.
team.
When you say we, you mean your employer says, "Hey, if you guys want to find somebody to hunt out here, go ahead."
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so we donated cow hunt. We're gonna have some veterans out this year to do some veteran hunts. I mean, listen, man, we understand. And so when he heard that from whoever he heard it from, you played the game of telephone when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
You're sitting
Yeah,
in a line
I
of
know
10
this
people,
analogy
whisper in
well.
Matt's
Yeah.
ear, and I said, "Hey, the sky is blue." By the
Yes.
time it gets to you, it's gonna be the world is on fire and you're a dick.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said. I said the sky is blue.
Right.
That
No,
same
I get
shit
that.
happens
I get that.
in every situation in life,
I can
bro.
tell that you don't get much hate online because that's it kind of
We do.
this
We
eats
do.
at you. Oh, you do?
And
Okay.
eating at you a little bit.
It
This
it
guy.
it eats at me because it was completely he acted like he knew something that I didn't. Like he was like a spy. Like I know something. I know you. I
Yeah.
know this. Well, that's
Oh,
bullshit. It's
okay.
bullshit.
Yeah.
And so no, we get hateful comments all the time. Half the time I think they're funny. Hell, we've laughed about them in our office over a beer. They're great,
Oh,
right?
that's a special gift that I'm just now picking up because I like
Yeah.
get a ton of venom, and sometimes
Mm.
it's like it affects me. Um,
Yeah.
Listen, in the topic that you represent with the media and the hunting and where we stand on our side, I said this at the beginning of the podcast and I'll say it now. And I appreciate the opportunity that you invited us on your podcast
oh, this has
because
been great.
I truly believe that open discourse and discussion is very healthy. And at the end of the day, we're all after the same thing. We all want hunting to be good. You know, one of our videos that we put out online, Matt said something, my kids, I've got a son in college here at MSU who's going into the Marine Corps to be a pilot. And then I've got a daughter who's a junior in high school, right?
So
So
what degree are they getting before they go in to be a pilot?
he's actually getting a business management degree. So the way that works in the
Oh,
Marine Corps, you have to have a bachelor's degree to be an officer, and you have to be an officer to be a pilot. And so
oh, I didn't know
there's some,
that.
yeah, he doesn't have to have an aviation degree because the Marine Corps looks at it and says, once you've got your degree and you're in and you pass all the rigorous Marine Corps training, we can train you to be a pilot our way.
So
So
Tom Cruise or the character he played had already gone to college,
yes, every pilot that's flying a fighter jet has
and
is
you can
a
get your
college graduate.
degree in whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know about the Navy, but
the 100%. The only one that you can do, and somebody's going to listen to this and tell me that I'm wrong. I don't have a military background, but you can become a warrant officer in the Army and fly helicopters without a
Okay.
college degree.
Okay. Okay. You
There's a
know what's
warrant officer
funny? You know
program.
what another thing that's like this is medicine. If you want to get a medical degree, you can get your undergraduate in anything. I know a guy
Same with
that
law.
one of the guys I roomed with in college, he got his undergraduate in psychology, and then he went on to
Yeah,
be a
totally.
physician. It's
Totally.
crazy to me because
But
like all the chemistry and physiology and anatomy and all that stuff that you got to take, I don't know what do. You got to take that when you're getting your, I don't know how that
then
works,
you're going to
but
do it in med school. But my point is, I have had the most phenomenal time of my life. If I was laying on my deathbed right now and you asked me, what are your best memories? They would all involve my family, but a large portion of them would be involved hunting with my kids as they grew up, hunting and fishing with them. Matt got to experience all those prime years growing up with my kids. I mean, Matt is, you know, kind of like their uncle, right? He's got to see him from, again, Trey shooting his first duck, and now he's, halfway through college and going into the Marine Corps to, working to become a fighter pilot. Matt has two boys that are younger, right? And when he started having kids, I was so excited. I told him, I'm like, man, this is great because like we kind of got to go through it with my kids together, and I loved it so much. But now I get to like do a reride, and I get to do it with Matt's boys. And in one of the videos that he made, he made a comment, and I don't know the exact wording, but he said, one of my greatest fears is that we're living in the good old days right now. And meaning we want to make sure that we leave it better than we found it. We want to make sure the resource is better. We want to make sure the habitat's better. We want it to be so that our kids can go do the things and experience the wild like we have and like you have, right?
yeah, yeah. And I think the
And I know
best,
you're going to
I think
say that
it's like,
because we do media, we're making it
no, I'm
worse.
not going to say that because
But
I wasn't going to say that. I mean, I think that, but I wasn't going to
but
say it because it just gets repetitive. I just
but
think that the best is way behind us. I
mhm.
mean, it's already, you cannot get a license to hunt nearly as easily as you used to.
depends on what you're
Yeah.
talking about. So my favorite thing to hunt is Canada geese,
Oh,
right? By
sure.
far,
You can still do
big
that.
Canada geese.
You
I'm
can
telling
still
you
do
right
that.
now, it is fucking 100x what it was back in the day.
It's better now,
It's way better,
even with
significantly better,
with the hunting pressure. There's
because of
just more of them.
conservation efforts.
There's just more of them.
More of
Because of
them. Yeah.
conservation efforts.
Yeah.
So the thing that we're
That's
passionate
a
about,
Canada geese are a bright spot for
yeah,
sure.
and I understand, the good old days, right? To some extent, I think that stories always get romanticized and sanctified the longer they go on. Truth is,
Oh, but it's like
you
you
weren't
can't. I
around
mean,
in
it's
the
not like
80s,
remember when
Griffin.
used to be able to get a tag every 2 years, and now it's
Of
every
course,
6. I
of
mean, that's
course.
not like just mental masturbation. That's a real
Yeah,
thing.
it's a
I mean,
real
there
thing.
I
are
understand.
lots of places in this state that I used to have quality hunting in that I wouldn't dream of going now
Oh, listen,
because
I mean,
they're
Me
that,
too.
just comically overcrowded, you
Yeah,
know?
me too.
yeah,
So
I mean,
I,
that
I
mountain
don't
in
think it's
Utah
just
that I
people like
referenced.
just sitting there daydreaming about the days of yore and it's all just a fiction in their minds. I think
That's
that
not what
it's
I'm saying.
okay,
That's not what
okay,
I'm saying. What
okay.
I'm saying is that you understand that the longer away you are from an event, there's a human tendency to romanticize and exaggerate the story, right? Like the girl you dated in high school when you're telling your buddies when you're 45 years old, she was a damn unicorn. She was a true 10. She was the prettiest thing on earth, right? Well, the
Hmm.
truth is she might have just been the girl that happened to live in your neighborhood, right?
Right.
And I think that can happen with hunting, right? The skies were full of birds. You've never seen anything like it. The skies were full of birds. Well, guess what? I have seen skies full of birds. And what we do day to day, we make a concerted effort to make sure that that continues to happen, man. I mean,
Hmm.
I want my kids to be able to do it. I want their kids. And I'm so jacked about the next 20 years with Matt's boys because I get to go do the same thing that Matt got to do with me for the past decade.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
And
You
I'm
know where
mega
I've
pumped.
seen the sky most full of birds? Oh, where was it? I went to some place with my brother a couple times, right? I don't know, it was west of Bozeman somewhere. It's a guy, he owns a brewery.
I know him.
Yeah,
We
we
know
know
him.
him.
He's
That
not far
guy.
from the place we manage.
Yeah,
He's
Yeah,
a dear
that
friend
dude.
of ours.
we're
Oh,
darn near.
okay.
He's a
Holy
dear friend of
crap.
ours. Yeah. It's a good spot.
Yeah,
And guess what? There's a lot of time that's gone into making that a good spot.
yeah. Here's a question for you guys. Um, Being that you're from a ranching background, I think that there should be public access strings attached to public money. What do you think of that idea?
Oh, like if
If they receive public
like if
money.
like if they receive public money to do, say, habitat improvement, then they should
Even,
be able.
okay, people always want to okay,
No,
that's
I'm asking.
sure. No, I know you are. I know you are. I just want to make one thing clear because people always say when I bring this up, they landowners wouldn't do conservation work then if you attached access strings to it. But the vast majority of farm subsidies don't have a conservation bent.
Hmm.
Oh
They're
yeah, for sure.
direct, they're direct commodity support, highly subsidized farm insurance. Here's
Yeah, we're
$150,000
trying to feed a nation.
for your frickin' pivot.
Yeah, we're trying to
Um,
we're trying to feed a nation of 350 million people, and ag ground is shrinking every day. So I get it.
yeah. So what do you think of that theory, or that opinion?
I can't speak to the farm subsidies and stuff like that from the ag guys, but from the ranchers, don't we have a program in this state where if let's just say there's some sort of damage happening or a guy out in Miles City has some elk around and he wants to high fence his stackyard to keep them out, that one of the agencies will go in and provide that in exchange for public access?
Yeah, FWP does a little bit of that kind of
Yeah.
thing, and yeah, that's exactly right. What I'm more thinking about is there's a farm subsidy database you can get on. If you just type in farm subsidy database, you can see how much public money these ranches get
Hmm.
Hmm.
going back to 1995, and it's millions and millions of dollars.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
And I just believe that there should be reasonable public access if you're taking that kind of money.
Mm.
Yeah,
Man, it's hard to do.
that's
It
it.
costs so much money to farm. The farmers that we know and spend a lot of time with, man, they're even the high dollar farmers. Like, it's not like they're making a bunch of money,
They're not shitting in high cotton.
but they
Well, that
do.
has nothing to do with it. They'd still be making the same amount of money if they allowed some
Yeah,
hunting.
yeah,
Yeah, Matt, it's an interesting question. It's one that I can't answer. I could
yeah.
I could make a case for both sides, right? I go back to you know, we're trying to feed a nation.
I can't be like, Yeah, no, they should be able to get millions of dollars and not allow anybody on. You know,
Yeah.
I don't see the other side. You know, that's why, you know, like how a
Well,
lot of
maybe the
European,
millions of dollars, and I'll be the devil's advocate to you because I enjoy that. If you like eating bread, maybe the millions of dollars are helping them buy things to be able to produce enough crop to be able to feed our
some
damn
some of it
country.
is, but some of it's
If you
like
like
so
going
they
to the store to buy a steak, which maybe you don't, but the vast majority of Americans do, or you like being able to, you know, buy peas, or you like to drink beer, right? I mean, without those guys having active producing ag ground, you don't have any of that shit.
yeah,
Next
but
thing
we
you
can
know,
have it, we're gonna have our cake and eat it too. They can
right.
get all that money and just allow some access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Tough
think
part.
that that should
Yeah.
be that's you know how a lot of European countries have right to roam laws.
I didn't
That's
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they do. Yeah, they have like Scandinavian
Uh,
countries, Great Britain. Like the reason a lot of those laws got enacted
Great
was
Britain has
because
them.
mhm, not you can't hunt. In a lot of cases, you can't even mushroom hunt,
Yeah.
but
I can.
you can hike and camp, etc. A lot of those laws got passed because of this argument I'm making right now.
I can
That
tell you that years ago, I used to manage a ranch in Colorado where we were importing gypsy horses from the UK into the US and then training them and selling them, right? These little kind of smaller
okay?
horses. These horses literally came from the gypsy people. They are wanderers at the highest level. Those
Oh
sons of bitches are
wow!
running from the law every single day because they're trespassing.
Oh
So
wow!
I can't speak to their laws, but I have spoke firsthand with the gypsy people who are indeed wanderers, and it is not welcome in Great Britain
Mhm.
with camping and wandering around like they do. I can promise you that. They get into a spot and camp for a few days until the shit comes down on them, and then they move on to the next place, right?
Okay.
And so I don't think
Yeah,
it's
it's. I mean,
as
I'm not saying
maybe
there's not.
it's
It's
maybe
not.
not quite as liberal as you're thinking.
Oh, it's extremely liberal. Like
Mhm.
in some Scandinavian countries, you can go anywhere you want, carte blanche, as long as it's not like in so many, within so many feet of someone's house. In Great Britain, it
Hmm.
might be that you have to stick to certain trails, but there's prodigious access on private land in a lot of European countries.
How did it work in how does it work in North Dakota? Like like the state of North Dakota, how do they run their program?
Oh, it was, you know, it was the same way in Montana when I moved here, but there, uh, if it's not for a long time, as was if it was not posted, you could hunt it.
Yep, I
And
remember that.
now it can be digitally posted and you can't
Yep.
hunt it. But and I think maybe they even did away with that now. So,
It's still the case, at least for waterfowl hunting.
Yeah, for
oh, it
waterfowl
is.
hunting,
Okay.
there's an online database so
Okay.
they can digitally post it. But
And it
how
goes
did
on
But if
on
it's
there.
but did they
not
put
digitally
funding?
or physically posted, you can hunt it still there?
Yes. Yep.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep. You still can.
So when you ask me how does it work, why
How
were
did
you asking me? You understand it better than I do.
Well, no, no, no. I was wondering how the money works. I was
Oh,
wondering
oh, they
how
have
do
a
they make how does the money?
program.
Yeah.
They have a program called Plots, and that's their access program, and the landowners get some amount of reimbursement for allowing public hunting
Like a
through the.
lump sum based on acreages,
I
acreage
don't
or
know
something.
how theirs works. Like in Montana,
Hmm.
it's based on hunter days, and there's a
Yeah, for
fifty
Yeah,
PMA.
thousand.
Yeah.
per person per day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't
yeah.
know
Yeah. I was
how.
just curious
Yeah, I don't
because
know
that
how.
was a really well ran program in my opinion because didn't seem like there was a bunch of stuff going wrong. Now there's also not a bunch of law enforcement there, so who knows what was going wrong.
Uh-huh.
But everybody we talked to, we would always we would almost always stop and talk to the people anyways, just to let them know we're out there. And they were always just, yeah, absolutely. That's great. Go ahead and go
Felt a little
and
dirty just to
enjoy.
show up.
Yeah, I
J-
didn't like
Yo,
that.
yeah,
Like,
no, I'm with you. Even when I hunt block management, I give the guy a gift.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and type
Not
1
not
BMA.
always. Not if it's a sign-in box and I don't even know where the
Yeah,
guy lives, you know.
yeah, the
But
type 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious how they ran theirs because that
yeah,
seemed like a successful program,
yeah, agreed,
but they're kind of doing
agreed.
away with it.
What's that?
It feels like they're doing away with that in North Dakota by allowing digital posting and now,
Oh, well,
you
no,
know,
we're conflating two things. The plots program,
It's like
the,
BMA.
it's like a BMA.
yeah,
Yeah, this other thing is what I was talking about is it used to be anything that wasn't posted you could hunt, whether it's in the plots
yeah,
program or not. So yeah, I'm
yeah,
Mhm.
confusing you.
yeah.
Yep.
Still that way today, as long as it's not digitally posted. You can hunt.
Okay, okay. Wow, that's from a bygone era.
Yeah,
Um, with some stuff there, it's getting the tag that's the hard part. Like deer tags are hard to get in North Dakota now.
yeah, yeah. And waterfowl, they regulate you to 2 weeks of hunting. You can pick
Oh,
the weeks, but they regulate
Yeah. For
non-resident to
non-residents.
2 weeks of hunting. Um, yeah,
did
yeah.
that thing in
Pheasant hunt.
Kansas pass that now you can't hunt weekends if you're not a stater?
I saw that, but I don't know if they passed it or not. I don't have the answer.
Yeah, I don't know
They
either.
were trying to.
I heard about it. I mean, there's states, Arkansas has put some regulations on out-of-state hunters. I mean, states,
South Dakota, I mean, you got to draw a
South
tag to
Dakota, you have to
waterfowl hunt.
draw. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
1 week.
really?
You get 1 week, yeah, to draw. You got to draw it. So
See,
they
this
have.
is why. And then now, you used to be able to go to what, Saskatchewan and hunt
Mhm,
all season, and now you have
mhm.
to draw a tag. And if you draw a tag, you can only go for 7 days.
Yeah, I
That's
don't think you have to draw a tag, but there are rules around the length of time that you can stay. But I don't think you have to draw a tag in Saskatchewan, at least for waterfowl.
that's why I just loathe R3 and hunting promotion. Here we are,
Yeah.
like getting restricted and more restricted and restricted. What's our antidote to all that? Oh, let's recruit more hunters.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. It's
I mean, you
like
can see the side, right? You can see both sides.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't see
Yeah.
both sides. I see people that are trying to make money off hunting and people that are trying to enjoy it.
I can
I
see
guess
both
those are the
sides
two
because
sides I see.
in yeah, well, I see both sides because in your version, Brady is the problem. He's the new hunter watching media and gets excited about hunting and then goes hunting. And then now look at him now. Now he's making more media to talk other people in to go hunting.
Right. That is
He's the problem.
problematic. Okay, so
Yeah, he's
yeah,
the problem.
I
My
that
wife agrees.
that
I'm
it
the problem a
is.
lot of times.
It is. It's a
And I will
problem in less hunting media. Well, okay, this is aside from hunting media. Okay, this is great because now that I've got this firmly in my head, we don't have to go bring hunting media into it. We can just talk about whether we should be trying to recruit more hunters or not. And I don't think that we should. And like what I'd say there is what it's doing is it's imposing shit quality hunting
mm,
for everyone, um, except people that have a lot of money. So
yeah.
I feel like there
I think we're a
there's a
long way from
whole
that.
bunch of ways to be a happy human being. You could be into bird watching, metal detecting, mountain climbing, um, golf, you name it, basketball, reading books, meditation, yoga. Here we, I don't know of any pursuit where there's a recruitment wing. We take the, other than hunting, we take the pastime that is
Oh, I
most
can tell you there's
severely
lots of
negatively, we take the pastime that's the most severely negatively impacted by other users, except maybe surfing. Um, and we go like, oh, let's bring more people into it. It just, to me, it's,
Fishing.
oh, well, yeah, sure. I put hunting, I think of hunting and fishing is the same.
Okay.
There's not, I don't hear fishing recruitment as much as I hear hunting recruitment. Although sure, it's just comical to me that there's not soccer recruitment, but if soccer gets too crowded, you just build another soccer field, problem solved.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, which takes away habitat for wildlife.
we take this past opposed
You
to
build a golf
saying,
course? You build a golf course, bro? You want to talk about urban sprawl? You agreed on it earlier. You take away urban sprawl. Every golf company in the world wants to recruit golfers. Why? Because they buy more golf shit. I hate
yeah,
golf. I think I'm not a golfer at all. But
no, but a
they
golf course
definitely are
could
doing recruiting efforts. Every single pastime in this country, the industry surrounding it is recruiting people to join that pastime. Now, yes, the
well,
golf
you
companies,
don't hear R3 thrown around with skiing. You don't hear it thrown around with mountaineering. You don't hear R3 is a hunting thing, hunter
right? I
recruitment.
understand
I've
that. I
never heard
understand that
somebody
tagline.
say basketball recruitment. It's like
True.
not.
I mean, I'll bet if you spent time in
I've never
areas where
heard of a
the
nonprofit that
Bronx did the
had
thing.
an R3 coordinator, except a hunting nonprofit.
Mhm.
Do you follow all these industries and know that? Or are you assuming it?
I've looked into it enough to see that uh, it's not a big thing like it is in hunting.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but it's wild to me to assume that these other
I'm not
pastimes that
assuming. I've looked into it.
also have commercial industries built around them are not actively recruiting.
I think Nike is probably putting a shitload of money
Oh,
into recruiting.
yeah,
I would think
come on.
tennis
No,
and
they're
baseball.
not. They're not. They're like unlike us. They're targeting the existing community of users. It's
Mm.
only in hunting that we go like, oh, let's try to get more people to hunt so that we can then get them to care about conservation. And the
Do
reason we do
we?
that is because the hunting industry, because the nonprofits are the made into the hunting industry. The hunting industry and the nonprofits love new hunters because they lack gear.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's
I
like
understand the industry motivation for sure. Do we, or are you considering kids as new hunters when you talk about not getting people into hunting?
here's what I'm opposed to. I'm opposed to nonprofits. I mean, I'm opposed to hunting media for sure, but but leaving that aside, opposed to nonprofits ginning up interest in hunting. Let
Matt, let me ask you a
let
question.
friends and family recruit the next generation of hunters.
I was going to ask, are
Okay.
you against that? So do you have kids? Do you have children?
I don't, and I've recruited a lot of hunters. There's a dude here from Benin right now that's working at the same lab as me, and I've been taking him out squirrel and bunny hunting.
So
it's
are
not
you
like
the problem or
No.
no, I'm
Just
not.
saying.
right?
I've been very consistent on this. Let friends and
Okay.
family recruit the hunters.
Yeah, friends and family recruit the hunters, which we agree with at a really high level.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm understanding. I'm tracking. I'm just
What people don't seem to be willing to acknowledge is just how bad it is for the current hunting community to bring more people in.
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
forget the organizations. If every hunter out there recruited a friend today, is that bad? We just
Yeah,
doubled our
that'd
number.
be terrible. There'd be instead of 15 million hunters, there'd be 30 million hunters.
So can I be the devil's advocate and ask a question? Why is it okay for you, but not Bill to call his buddy and Brad to call his buddy and Jim to call his buddy?
Um, because
Why is it okay for you?
maybe it's not. I'm not sure about that, but it's
And I don't
definitely
have the answer either.
I well, like, my first public statement about this was when I wrote my article on R3. And in that article, I said, let friends and family recruit the next generation of hunters, as they have for millions of years. Like, here's the thing. Here's one thing. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe that's rude of me to help people along that express an interest in hunting. I'd have to think about that. Maybe that's some place where I should check myself. Um, but so much of the hunting recruitment is not done. It's not done like for virtuous reasons. It's done for the incentive is profit.
Yeah. What he's against is companies like, let's just take Sitka Gear for example, recruiting snowboarders and like Eric and all those
I
guys.
understand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
I
but there's
understand.
a fine line,
But
right?
you understand the mental gymnastics I'm having with myself right now. Like, okay, so let's just say it's all friends and family, right? My son, Trey, who I've mentioned, his best friend growing up, Matt and I got him into waterfowl hunting.
Hmm.
He's very passionate about waterfowl hunting. He loves to come with us, and it's a thing that he truly cherishes in his life, right?
Hmm.
So we just did a one-person recruitment with that fella.
Yeah, friends and family.
Friends and family.
But everybody's got friends and family. So that goes back to my question. If we all just recruited one, is that bad? So do we need to control the controllables, so to speak, and recruit nobody?
I think that a first step should be getting the nonprofits to do away with R3. Um, that seems like that's just something I believe. Whether or
Mhm.
not it's rude of hunters to recruit their friends and family, I don't know if it is or not. Like I say, I do it. I'd have to think about that more deeply. But I mean, in a lot of cases, these orgs are going against their mission statement by doing it. Like, if you look at backcountry hunters and anglers, if you get on their website and look at their mission statement, it's all about like trying to protect solitude and how solitude is being trampled on by an increasing human population and all this. Okay, hunter recruitment is just plain and simple the opposite of solitude. So which is it? Do you want
Mhm.
do they value and then here's another one. All these hunting nonprofits claim to be conservation organizations. Well, there's a substantial amount of peer-reviewed scientific evidence that intense hunting pressure is bad for wildlife.
Mhm.
Everything
Well, of
from
course.
everything from infanticide rates in brown bears to lipid concentrations in gadwall to spatial distributions of almost every wildlife species that's ever been studied. And when their spatial
Sure.
distributions get messed up, that means that they're feeding and seeking covers in less than ideal places.
Mm.
Their preferred habitat where their reproductive fitness would be highest, that's not where they're focused. They're having to focus in suboptimal places because of hunting pressure. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I think of R3, nobody ever mentions this, but R3 can have deleterious effects on wildlife.
Mhm.
And none of these orgs, like it says, then their mission statement is to recruit more hunters.
They're just spending money on it.
It's like
Yeah.
that's not their mission statement.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And the reason they
I'm
do it,
hearing you.
and the reason they do it is because it's a expectation of their hunting industry um, stakeholders. Their
Yeah.
stakeholders, to a large extent, are not the hunting community. Their stakeholders are the hunting industry. When
Yep.
I was on the board of Montana BHA, I was trying to get them to step away from R3, and I heard stuff like our industry partners wouldn't like it very much if we did away with the recruitment. And
Hmm.
I heard we can't get rid of recruitment because that's how we fundraise.
Yeah, makes sense. I've heard very similar things be said and talked about. I mean,
Oh, I mean, I
And
get
and
it.
I'm the only one in the world that's saying these things publicly. And I think there's just got to be room for one person to point this out. You know, that's
Well, it
what I,
sounds like you've made room.
huh?
It sounds like you've made room.
Made room for what?
The one person to
One.
say it. You're the guy.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the guy. I'm the
Hell
guy.
yeah, you kicked the door in. Here you are.
Well, it's just like all the other everybody else is in lockstep unison on this stuff, you
Yeah.
know, for the most part.
I just think some of these issues they're just hard
It's not
because
black and white.
it's not
It
black
doesn't
and
feel
white.
like it's black and
If it's
white.
bad for the big organization to recruit a bunch of people, but it's okay for everybody to recruit one personally, it's it's the same damn thing.
Same thing for
Okay,
the
all
experience
right.
with the
Well, would I would I would argue that if the
What's good for
orgs,
me, not for thee.
I'd say keep recruiting at our constant rate, at whatever rate we as people recruit, keep up with that, but do away with the nonprofit recruitment
Mm.
and the industry recruitment. Wouldn't that make them, if the numbers have been going up for the last 10 years, the number of hunters have been going up. So if we took out the industry recruitment, might it level off or even slightly dip?
I don't know. My guess, and I'm not a social scientist, but my guess is there's other factors that contribute. I
Oh, the
think that.
biggest factor is media.
Well, I know you believe. I get that. I know you've made that clear.
Oh,
But I'm
you,
saying
I mean, you kind of agreed. I thought you agreed with
I'm
me
not
too. You said,
disagreeing with you.
yeah,
I'm
okay.
not. I'm
You
just saying the media thing. We beat the horse, right? We
I
got it.
mean, next to
I'm
the
saying
next, I'm just saying in terms, no, we're talking
our
about whether it's bad for access. We talked a lot about that.
no,
I'm
no.
saying what I'm saying is media is the biggest recruitment engine, far more
Right,
than National Wild Turkey Federation, Ducks Unlimited, BHA, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, et cetera, et cetera. What brings more people in is media, whether you like it
right.
or not. I don't,
Mhm.
No,
okay,
I'm.
I don't mean to be so like ramming that down your throat.
No,
I'm,
you're not ramming it down my throat. You
I'm
just derailed where
asking,
I was
do you
going.
do you agree with that or do you disagree with media being the
That
biggest
it's the
recruitment
biggest
tool?
recruitment tool.
Hmm.
Media.
Likely so. Yes.
Okay.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I
I'm sorry.
again, listen. I'm not a statistician. You would know better than I do, but it's definitely
A key
a
player.
heavy recruiting tool,
Yeah.
no doubt,
Yeah.
Matt.
Okay.
Um, I'm saying that we don't know. You said would it level off? What I was saying is we don't know. I think there's some other factors. Again, what I was saying, I'm not a social scientist, but I would guess, when you think about 30 years ago, what people did for work and their free time was totally different than it is today. People
Mhm.
did not have near the amount of free time because they were involved in, careers that didn't allow the free time. Shit, how many people now can just get on their laptop from wherever and hotspot off their phone and make a killer living on the beach in Belize
Yeah.
or wherever, right? And so those people have more time. So I do think there's a real factor that we likely don't know, that times have changed. So I do think hunter numbers would likely still increase because people are living in more urban environments. And I think there's a human nature to get outside and explore the wild. Now, one guy might choose rock climbing, one guy might choose hiking, one guy might choose fly fishing, one guy might choose duck hunting. I don't know.
Well, if hunter numbers are destined to increase no matter what we do, then why not have the nonprofits just do away with the recruitment and focus on conservation and access?
I'm not a nonprofit. I can't
Yeah, we
speak
just
to that,
can't
bro.
we can't talk about it. But
I don't know.
you know it really well.
It sounds like you've done more research. And so again,
Well, he was inside.
I'm neither agreeing nor disagreeing with you,
I
dude.
got
Like
you. I
I
got you.
understand. I understand what you're saying. I can't sit here and, plant my flag in the sand one way or another. I'm just saying in all arguments in life, there's likely two sides, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I agree that too many hunters is a bad thing. 100%. I agree with you that too
Yeah.
many would be a bad thing. Now, in our specific hunting pursuit of waterfowl hunting, there's some great public land hunting around this nation, but the vast majority of waterfowl hunting takes place on private land because that's where the food is that the birds eat. And so that, I mean, it's just a fact, right? And it's been
Hmm.
that way for generations. Now, again, in some states, again, growing up in Utah, Utah has some of the most phenomenal public duck hunting I've ever experienced in my life. Matt and I have spent lots of time there and had some of the coolest days
Oh,
in the marsh that we've ever had. That land will
so
always
good.
be public.
Yeah,
It's
so good.
insanely good duck hunting, right?
Yeah,
Huge.
that's cool.
Is
That's
there more
great.
people there than there was 30 years ago? Dude, for sure. Has the invention of the mud motor made it so people can, get further and get back where, sons of bitches Joe used to hike in there for 3 days and eat Pop Tarts and shit in a bag so he could have a good day of duck, and now all of a sudden somebody shows up in a mud boat? Sure, that's a thing.
I have two mud motors.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I got a 6 horse and a 27 horse.
Hmm.
So in the world of duck hunting, there's a large contingency of people that would hate that you have them.
Hmm.
They would argue that they're the devil.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just as passionate about that as you are on your points, right? So it's again,
Okay,
it's
but I don't get what you're saying. Like, it's not okay to have a settled opinion on something?
no, I think it is. I think it's
Yeah.
great. I'm
Okay,
saying I'm saying
well,
that there's
I just
there's
think there's enough hunters and we don't need to do recruitment. And I
right.
think that hunting media is bad for access and we shouldn't do it. Like, it's like no different than anybody else having their opinion on anything else, you know,
Hmm.
Totally.
right?
The cool thing
Um,
about today's world is it's good and bad, is anybody can have a voice, right? And I think it's cool. I listen, I respect what you do. Like I understand your opinion, and yeah, man. I mean, I'd say carry on.
yeah, and same to you guys. I mean, I'd like to see if I could like get you to give up on the hunting media, but I don't think that's in the cards. But
It's true.
with the conservation work, I'm all for it. I'm all
Well,
Yeah, of
for it.
listen,
course.
maybe one of these days we'll get to meet up. I was hoping to be at the Buck and Horse sale this weekend, but it'd be good to shake your hand one day, and we maybe we can make it out or help with the
Oh, if you guys want
hunters
to
for
come out,
access.
if you guys want to come out and go duck hunting, you'd have to leave the camera behind, you know.
Hmm.
But uh,
We do that all the time.
We're in your yard.
I would love to host you. And
Yeah.
oh man, here's another thing. If you could just, even if you're not hunting with me, please please don't hotspot this place.
Oh no,
We don't.
never have.
Okay.
Never.
Thank you. Thank you. If only other
I'm
people could be
guessing you
more
probably
like you.
haven't watched a lot of our videos, but we don't ever
Oh,
hotspot.
okay. I'm going bear hunting uh next week with these two young guys that figured out where this hunting celebrity has been filming the last 2 years, even though they've never been anywhere near it.
Yeah,
They
Oh,
figured
I
out.
mean,
lots of guys like that.
yeah, there's
We know
ways of
guys.
figuring it out.
We know guys that have. I mean, they have pinpointed where the biggest bulls have ever been killed. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of time they'll put in to
Yeah.
figure it out.
We get some
Oh,
people that do it with us.
here's what's sad to me about that is that
Access thing.
it used to be that hunting was like you do hard work and you're rewarded. And
Hmm.
now it's like watch these videos and then go and make it so places that used to be out there to be found if you did the work are no good anymore because everybody knows about it.
Hmm. Hmm. There is
I agree. There's
there's
an
some
argument to be
validity.
made.
There's some validity to that for sure. We saw it. We've seen it
Yeah,
with
I just like a world in where hard work yields positive results, you
Mhm.
know, and the hunting media just fucks that. Um, so
Yeah.
anyway, hey, I
Listen,
really enjoyed talking to you guys,
we have
and
to.
yeah, uh, um, and again, just I said it already, but I really appreciate the habitat work you're doing. It sounds awesome to me. I'm all for it. Hey, oh, and a couple hanging chads. Matt, what's your last name?
McCormick.
M
MCC.
MCC.
MCCORMICK.
Okay. MCCORMICK.
Correct.
And then I want to text Brady. I'm gonna text you our flyer for our Helena fundraiser.
Great.
So what?
Please do.
Oh, so hold on. I'm gonna hit stop and then I'm gonna get your phone number.
Okay.